Hey everyone, Shakarez here. Today, we're going over a quite unique item combination that has propped up over the last couple of days. I'm talking about Imperial Mandate, one of the new support mythic items. When slowing or immobilizing enemy champions, the item does extra damage and places a mark on them for 4 seconds. The mark can then be detonated by allies for extra damage and grants both you and your ally bonus movement speed when that mark is detonated. Now, this item is one of the reasons why Nami has been doing so well in preseason, as she can easily proc it with Tidecaller's Blessing. It's also pretty strong on Janna and Karma, who can easily do extra damage and apply the mark for allies. However, the item has also started to get picked up in the mid lane, because other roles have never stolen support itemization, right? The key thing about Imperial Mandate is that while consuming the mark on a champion puts the item on a 6-second cooldown for that specific enemy, the first application of damage essentially has no cooldown, which means you can apply it over and over. This is not a bug and is an intended interaction. Some players quickly realized this and started pairing it with Rylai's Crystal Scepter. With all the spells slowing, they will also proc the extra damage from Mandate. So, which mid laners can use this? What are the pros and cons? For pros, the price. You get 2 items for 5,700 gold. Mandate only costs 2,700 gold, which is 700 cheaper than Luden's or Liandry's, and the 2 item spike is very strong. The cons? Getting there. The build path is a bit awkward. In most cases, if you're building this on a mid laner that needs Rylai's for the combo, you don't want to rush Mandate, so you either get Rylai's first or grab components of other items beforehand. Mandate's components are also weaker than Mage Mythics. Bandleglass Mirror costs 1,050 gold and only grants 20 AP, 10 ability haste, and 50% mana regen. Compare this to the 1,300 gold Lost Chapter, which grants double the AP, the same ability haste, 300 flat mana, and a mana sustain passive on level up. Simply put, your mana sustain with this build will not be as good. Moving on to potentially good picks. Aurelion Sol is probably the standout champion for this build. If this does get nerfed, I think it will be because of him. Aurelion Sol mains started experimenting with this build a couple of days ago, and it has gotten to the point where it's his most popular build, albeit low sample size. This plays out a bit differently than his Electrocute build. You will want to take Phase Rush with Precision Secondary in order to grab both Mana Flow Band and Presence of Mind, which will shore up your mana issues. You rush Rylai's first and then build Mandate. Once your 2 core items are completed, all your stars will slow, and thus all of them will proc the Mandate passive. This damage adds up a ton, and you will notice you can deal hundreds of extra bonus damage in a fight. Also, as a side note, thank you to Vixie for sharing some of her gameplay with me. She's a master tier mid lane streamer. I've linked her stream in the description. Then there's Ahri. Typically, Luden's is her go-to mythic to increase her mobility and burst, but the Rylai's Mandate build gives her a ton of utility and unexpected burst. This feels somewhat similar to the Season 10 Glacial build that would give her added slows. What this build does for Ahri is make her W and R pack a punch. Both of them have projectiles that will proc Mandate multiple times if you hit multiple champions. This is especially noticeable with your R. When you dash, you throw 3 energy bolts. If they go on distinct targets, they will proc the Mandate damage 3 times, up to 9 potential Mandate procs. Having played with this build, I will say I felt a bit mana starved. I think you might need to complete your Bandleglass Mirror before Rylai's. I ran Mana Flow Band with Sorcery Secondary, but Precision Secondary to access Presence of Mind might be a stronger option, especially if you're looking to consistently trade. Then there's Seraphine. She already builds Mandate in the support role and generally likes Rylai's as an item, since with it, her E, Beat Drop, will be upgraded and cause an enemy to be rooted instead of slowed and then stunned if the echo hits. I haven't tried it, but it does sound pretty good for her. Finally, there's Victor. Now, this one may sound troll because Victor is performing fantastically with both Liandry's and Luden's, but they are both getting nerfed in the next patch in a couple of days. In addition, Victor's W augment makes all of his abilities slow, so he doesn't even need to pick up Rylai's. I tried this out with a standard Phase Rush plus Inspiration build, and it felt really good, netting me over 8,000 bonus damage with the item in a game. I didn't have as many mana problems as I did with Ahri, but Precision Secondary might be worth it for Presence of Mind. The only big disadvantage with this build versus the Liandry's one was the amount of ability haste I had access to, as Liandry's grants 20 plus the mythic passive. Some core items that Victor likes, such as Lichbane and Demonic Embrace, don't have ability haste, so I would highly recommend you take Transcendence and the ability haste Rune Shard with this build. Cosmic Drive might also be interesting. I also didn't try upgrading W second over Q, which would allow me to almost just rush Mandate as I would be getting my slows earlier. That might be something to consider as well. Anyways, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and get out there and experiment. I'm sure you can think of other champions such as Azir to try this on. See you next time.